in love and proof of a miracle, a child made from two people, a woman selfishly giving her body up for 9 months to grow and nurture human life and then to bear excruciating pains to bring that baby to our world. A father, the protector, is a strong individual whose job is to at all costs protect the
is moving further away. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're making all the right noises, but they don't really know. But it feels like destruction of your mind and your soul. You're falling down a black hole. It feels like destruction.
No sound. Mhm.
All right. Welcome back to CPS Men in Trenches. I am Darren Guay, CPS Punisher. I am here with my lovely co host, Dr. Fowler. Let's try this again. There she is. I was hoping that I was screaming at the top of my lungs, Fowler. I was like, Fowler, handle this. But to no avail. But that's fine. Here we are on this Wednesday night, January 2nd, right? And we've had a couple of good days. Well, I've had a good day. My writ of mandamus that I wrote, along with many people helping me, has gone into the Supreme Court of the state of Maine, and now they will be checking that out, and hopefully there'll be some sort of a remedy to get my daughter home. I want to thank everybody that I've been along with in this whole process for helping me along with this writ. I mean, everywhere from Miss G, Mr. Davis, to Malibu Dallas, to my friend Jess, to you, Dr. Fowler, to Deidre Payne, to all of the people that have been a part of teaching me what I've needed to know. And I appreciate that, because without a little bit from everybody, we wouldn't have gotten as far as we've gotten. And, I really want to make a point with this here is that, this isn't a game for people to be trying to win and trying to be the better person or look what I can do or what I can't do. This here is about all of us getting together and being a solid unit, being one whole pack, if you will, of people affected by Child Protective Services that have lost our children. And if you can't get that into your head, then you shouldn't be in this. We all need to be helping out each other. We don't need to be backstabbing one another. We don't need to be lying for credit. We don't need to be doing any of these things. We are all vulnerable parents that have been affected by this. And for people to try to play the game of popularity, try to play the game of, okay, this is better than who's better. Who cares who's better as long as what we're doing is getting things done and we're making action steps, right, Fowler? I mean, that's what
I
everything's
agree.
about, right? Is getting action steps to move forward. Now, I've learned a lot from a lot of different people that have helped us out, and that's helped me be comfortable and constant with this mandamus that I wrote. All of these late night talks with Candace, with GJ Laird, with all of these people. I was finally confident in myself, and through everybody looking through it and these lessons that I've learned, that I was able to do this, and I did it without a lawyer. I did it without anything, and it's now in the Supreme Court for the state of Maine. So, to no avail, without everybody, I couldn't have done this. And I think that everybody needs to open their eyes and stop with the trash talking and stop. Like, this isn't a thing for WWF and all of that stuff. This is about a bunch of parents trying to get together to get their kids back. Period. End of story. That is it. There's no competition. If you've got something that's better, then so be it. Let's do what you're doing. And, that's all I've been trying to do, Fowler, was write this mandamus so that everybody could possibly be able to use what I wrote and use it in their own cases. And that's what I've done. And I'm hoping that it works. And I'm hoping that other people will be triumphant in using it as well. So that's what I've got to say about today, Dr. Fowler. What do you have to say on this fine Wednesday?
Well, I would like to say the best of the new year to the viewers and the supporters of the cause, near and far, for those who are present now and for those who will be viewing our show later on. As always, my best and deepest regards to all the dads out there, to the dads who want to parent but have been unable to do so due to circumstances sometimes beyond their control and sometimes because of their own choices. And to those who have parented and who are really doing all that they can to conserve the integrity of the human family, I give you all the best and keep you in my prayers. And if you don't mind, could we just say a moment of prayer, introducing God into this
Yes, ma'am.
verse?
We sure can.
All right. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and the Mother God, creative forces, for our ancestors on our mother's side, our ancestors on our father's side, For the spirits, the unnamed spirits, the unknown spirits, for the forces of nature and our descendants to the nth generation, we offer up our thanks this day. For this circle of love, for the friendship, for the abiding trust, and for the hours and hours that we have tarried together, mourning and rejoicing, we offer up our thanks this day. For each and every man in the trenches, doing all that he can to walk upright according to the precepts of our God creative, we offer up our thanks this day. For those men who are not men, we humbly thank you, merciful Jesus, for reshaping those lives and elevating them and turning them into the men that you would have them to be. And for all of the little children, those who are close to us and those who have been torn away from us, merciful Jesus, please continue to send your angels of protection and guidance around our children. Let every hand that touches our children be the hand of kindness. Let every heart be open to them with love in our absence, merciful Jesus. Preserve their joy, preserve their purity, and when they are returned to us, preserve them, make them fresh and whole like the beautiful flowers in the garden that they are. And for the mothers too, who are weeping and sometimes rejoicing, please give them comfort in their hours of darkness. Give them comfort when they are crying in the middle of the night, and let them know, dear Lord Jesus, that there is never a time when you are not. And for my brother Darren, for his household, and for his friends, merciful Jesus, and for the strength of his feet and hands and knees to continue in this cause, and even for this medium, merciful Jesus, that is bringing us together from coast to coast and all across the world. We offer up our thanks. And for those prayers buried deep within our souls and deep within our hearts, please, merciful Jesus, we join you now in the presence of the angels and the divinities, and we ask for each and every loving prayer to be fulfilled. And in these things we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
That was a good one. That was very good, Fowler. Thank you for that. That was very good. And that just made me think. I mean, do these caseworkers not realize that this is a spiritual war, or do they realize it in their demons? Like this is crazy. These caseworkers are going to go to hell for what they've done, no doubt. And they don't understand the powers that we have. When we got God on our side, like who do they have? This is all being done for a reason. But I think it's time for that reason to be up. I think all of us need our kids back. I think this is going to be our year, a year for all of us parents that have suffered long enough, us fathers, mothers, grandparents, grandchildren, everybody that has suffered in the family unit needs to come out. And I think that this is going to be it. This is going to be the year that we're going to find that this is going to turn over for everybody, because this is starting to become noticed. People are starting to wake up and pay attention and see that there are issues, that these things are going on in this country. This is just hey, Corey, we see you there, buddy. See Viper on here giving us some chat. Thank you. How you guys doing? Heidi Rue, thank you for being on here. That's right, Corey, stronger in numbers. Corey, you want a link? Do you want to join us tonight? We'll send you a link if you want to get in here with us. But yeah, Dr. Fowler and I were just talking about the numbers the other day. Like, people don't realize that if they're this election, so you figure at this point, there's been almost 10 million kids in the past 20 years that have been taken into custody by Child Protective Services. So every 10 children that get every child that gets taken into protective custody, or Child Protective Services joke, I like to say that there's 10 people that are affected by it. So if we do that number, 10 times 10 million is what's the number? Alexa, what's 10 times 10 million?
10 times 10 million is 100 million.
All right. So we have 100 million people that have been affected by Child Protective Services in their lives. We could be a massive number at this next election. We could be a powerhouse. I mean, we could actually control the entire election, the people that have been affected by Child Protective Services and what they do. So I think politicians need to start paying attention to what we're saying and what we're talking about, because God forbid that all of us get it in our brains to come together as a group And that's why I put this thing up here that says pack it up. Like, let's get together, because one wolf is strong, but a bunch of them are just not to be reckoned with. We need to get together and be strong. I mean, we could move this nation in one election. We could turn this nation upside down. So I really want to start pushing our way into that and making people realize how strong that we've been isolated for so long, but yeah, we could be such a powerhouse in this movement. It could be pretty intense. Don't you say, Fowler?
I absolutely agree. And I do feel that the ground is moving. I feel it spiritually. I feel like the awakening is at hand. And the forces are really beginning to align and consolidate. Interest is consolidating. And I feel like the hour is at hand when our children will be returned to us and the sanctity of the family will be restored. And amazingly, saving our children from this vicious system of trafficking and abuse does seem to be the nucleus of the men's movement. It's been a long time in America since men had a movement of their own. We had the quote feminist movement, which really assassinated womanhood. I remember when I was young, and a lot of the tenets of the quote feminist movement weren't ways for women to become better women, but really the object tended to be for women to become like men.
Right.
And to take over men's roles and to become more masculine than men were. So I recall even being in undergraduate school, and the new expressive feminists were against homemaking. They thought it was demeaning. They were against birthing children. They thought that was demeaning. So the birth rate declined as the feminist movement grew. They were all about having careers, which meant that they were competitive with men and they wanted to be, quote, equal to men. They still wanted a lot of dispensation at the same time that men did not have. And that movement really overall wasn't about prospering the human family, you see, or reconstituting the human family so that we are whole. It was really very detrimental because it peopled especially young women's minds with ideals that are far from those of the creator. Let's put it that way. And that's part of the reason why we have CPS today, because I will posit, and please, viewers, jump in here and render your comments if you'd like to. I will posit that 100% of the social workers who are really the demons in this trafficking system are women. I haven't encountered or heard of a male social worker in this area. Of course, there are male social workers, but they tend to go into other areas of social work, such as, let's say, hospital discharge work, or working with the homeless, or other kinds of social work missions. And then in my observation, the women who do go into social work and who go into CPS tend to be bitter, angry women who hate men and who hate the family. And I don't think that that's happenstantial. I think they are products of the so-called feminist ideal.
Right. That's the thing. The thing is I don't think women expected that movement to be what it did. It dismantled the man's part of the family and made them believe that they were, not that they aren't stronger than they were, but it instead of them getting the rights that they were looking for, they went above and beyond and then started taking away roles in the family. Dr. Fowler, Heidi Ruth says this, fighting for her grandson taken and adopted without notification, paperwork, legal counsel, 10 months of hell thus far. He just turned 2 in September. Thank you for your service and strength and prayers. She also says that she is a retired paralegal. What kind of words do you have for her, Dr. Fowler?
First of all, my dear Heidi, my prayers, my empathy, and my sympathy are with you. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us here. You know, without this network, I don't know how I could have weathered the past year and a half myself. I want to do more than just encourage you and give you nice words, but I love action steps. So if you can contact us, as you see the scrolling banner below at abolishcps.com. And I do think, Darren, do we have a phone number
We
too?
do, and I will put that up here too for us here. Let me put that on here.
Can we make sure that we have the number up there?
Yes.
Heidi, can you please call us so that we can also get you into a council meeting and we can talk about constructive ways that collectively we can help. There's a lot of people in this network. I'll tell you, Darren, I have 2 doctorate degrees, and one of them is from one of the world's leading universities. And I have to say, in all of my 33 years of formal education, I have never met a collective of people as brilliant, absolutely stunningly brilliant as the parents who are in this movement. And I mean that. I have interviewed hundreds of lawyers over the past 3 years, and I haven't met a single lawyer who can touch the knowledge base, the passion, and the commitment of a single one of the parents who are in this network. So Heidi, I want you to know that you've landed in a good place. And I myself will do what I can for you in terms of action steps to help to renew your family ties and help your children to be reunified. I would be pleased to make advocacy phone calls, pleased to help with conferences or whatever I can possibly do to help to bring the children back. And just as long as you get the number, I think Darren's working on the number up
in
there.
the chat there, but I'm going to put it across the scroll here now too. It's 571-494-8133, but I'm going to put that in the scroll as well right now.
Okay. So Heidi, do not despair, draw encouragement. Even though adoption has happened and it feels like the death sentence that people say it is, it doesn't have to be. If man created a problem, man can solve the
That's right.
problem. And I don't mean to propagate false hope in you, but I do want to assure you that even though we may not know what it is, there's always something that can be done. And maybe it's something that was done before many times, but maybe just that, that next time that you do it, it might really yield a different result. And with all of us together, I'm sure that there is something that can be done. Some of the members or the supporters that Darren mentioned earlier are excellent at writing motions. Some are excellent at writing appeals. Some are excellent at doing conferences. Some are really good at advocacy calls like myself. And of course, some of us are also prayer warriors. So together, we'll do what we can.
Yep. That's what we're all here for. That is what we're all here for, and that we're all aiming to do. Dr. Fowler has been, listen, I mean, we're not lawyers, obviously, and we're not trying to play lawyer. But I mean, Dr. Fowler, I think we're getting pretty solid in the areas of law now, with as far as writing and practicing and doing the things that we would have normally had to have hired an attorney for. I mean, you yourself today are like, why am I paying this attorney this amount of money for this when you did it yourself and it went in to no avail? The statistics are starting to show that the parents that are winning in these CPS cases are the parents that are defending themselves, because the attorneys and the lawyers, there's a difference between the lawyers and attorneys, but they are all, their homage is to the courts itself before it's to the client. And that even says it in their own literature, that the attorney's job is the attorney's, oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for here? The attorney's loyalties lie to the court before they do their own client. And Malibu Dallas, we showed that the other day on Malibu Dallas's TikTok that he had brought that up. I don't remember the actual title number or not. So pay attention, do your research in these things, but don't be scared. We have these groups, and we have this group this group that we have now that we've created is pretty damn solid. We have the best of the best of the best. Short of a couple of people, I'd still like to get on board, and hoping that they do. But we are pretty solid of a group that can get you the help that you need, and at a decent price, if not a gifted one. So make sure that you do reach out to us so that we can try and see what we can do for you. Oh, man.
Darren, I'd like to also comment about something that you just said. And I want to encourage you, Heidi, and everyone else who's listening to stay connected with us. There are a lot of us, by us I mean people in this movement, who are experts not only at working with the courts and composing motions and appeals and things of that nature, but in actually teaching you step by step how you can do this, because this knowledge and these skills that you will learn, if you don't know them already, will carry you for the rest of your life in a lot of other situations. And it is extremely empowering to be able to write your own motion. And you know, the good part about being a citizen or a non-lawyer or a non-attorney is that you can say things and you can do things, and you can tool your message to the court with a lot more freedom and a lot more levity than a lawyer can do, and a lot more than they want to do or that they're able to do, because they are strictly restricted by something called the rules of parole, Parole, from the French, which has to do with speaking and words. So there are certain words that the attorneys cannot use that we can use. For example, in my recent motion to intervene, so that the courts will recognize me, Heidi, I too am a grandmother, I opened my motion with my testament before God. And I complained, and I said things like, this is detestable, and I said things like, this is sadistic. And I had lawyers review it, and they didn't say anything about the essence of the motion. They didn't say anything about the validity of my argument, which was an argument about jurisdiction. You know what they told me? They said, you need to modify this, and you need to take God out of there. And I laughed and laughed to myself, and I thought, that's your criticism? But they were seeing it as lawyers. You see, they weren't seeing it as an aggrieved parent, and they were seeing it as something that they cannot do. But guess what? I wrote the motion, I filed the motion, and it yielded the desired results, which was a hearing date. So again, I laughed to myself that people are telling me that I couldn't do something that I already did, and you can do it too, Heidi. It, depending on what state you're in, I have some comments to say about grandparents and grandparents' rights. Oh, here, Heidi made another response to us. I have been seeking legal counsel since he was taken, meaning the grandchild, March 10th. I am on SSI now and can't afford it, but I will do whatever I have to do to get him home. You sure will. And we'll do whatever we can do to help you. Darren, we don't have sound.
Yes, I was muted. You're never going to guess where she's from, where Heidi's from. One guess.
Don't tell me Pennsylvania.
Ding, 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 ding. You got it. Pennsylvania. So, and
Help me there.
Heidi, that other one that's there, the Sea Viper, that's our good man, Corey. We're going to bring him up here on the second part of the show to chat with us. So if, take whatever he's telling you, if he's saying something in these chats, his word is worth it as well. So make sure you can take notes to that. I can't believe that it's another Pennsylvania. What is going on in Pennsylvania? That's like
Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, sweetheart, for talking over. Pennsylvania is notorious for stealing children, and traditionally children of an adolescent age, through the Kids for Cash program. that was really prolific in some counties like Lackawanna County, where the judges were in on it. Of course, the local politicians were in on it, and they were criminalizing youth so that they could detain them in these facilities that they built just for that, snatching them away from their families and keeping them in detention. And did you know, at least as far as I understand it in the Commonwealth, that when youths are detained, that they don't have to have a term of service, meaning that if a youth is detained in a juvenile facility, they can be there for years without an actual term. Did you know that? So essentially, they too have basically no rights if they are detained. Whereas if you murder someone and you're detained, you always get a term of service, something that's tangible that you can fight against. So having said that, Heidi, I too am in Pennsylvania. You may know this already. Some viewers do not know this. I too am a grandmother. By the way, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a counselor at law. I'm not giving legal advisement. I'm not giving advisement at all. What I am here to do, first of all, is to share my personal experience, share the things that I have tried to do, especially the things that didn't work for me, because just because they didn't work for me, when I tried to get certain things to work for me, doesn't mean that they won't work for someone else, different time in a different way. I also am pleased to serve as a delegate for the men in the trenches, meaning that I consider it my job, my special mission to go out into the world and to propagate the word about this movement, propagate and to recruit people of standing, people who have influence, who can push a button and get us in there to Congress and get us in there to where the money is, and chop off this system at the knees and defund it the same way that we defund other things that are essential. This isn't that hard. So briefly put, Heidi, I am a custodial, maternal grandmother of 3 grandchildren. I have 1 daughter, she has 3 children. The oldest child, age 21, I've raised since birth. The middle child, age 12, I've helped to raise. And then it's the baby who is now literally in captivity in CPS in the Philadelphia area. All 3 of the children at different times have been referred and placed into the CPS system due to my daughter's lack of capacity for adult living and her lack of capacity to be a parent. Part of her psychosis, she does have psychiatric illness in the acute range, exacerbated by substance abuse problems. But the main problem that she has is a problem of the heart, mind, and the problem in her soul, where she is incapable of admitting that she is incapable of parenting. She's incapable of admitting that there are people who can parent better than herself, and she is incapable of wanting her children to be safe and happy. That's just how her symptoms are manifest. So as long as her children are suffering, as long as they're separated from their families, as long as they're exposed to another police emergency, fire emergency, eviction, another fight, flight, another displacement, another pain, another injury in the hospital, she is satisfied. She cannot really live unless her children are suffering. That's what we're dealing with. It's nothing personal. A lot of you out there are dealing with this as well. But it's because of her that the baby, who is now 17 months old, close in age to your grandbaby there, is in the CPS system, because she's vehemently opposed to me having the baby, but she cannot do it herself. August 22nd, 2022, my daughter was discovered with a 4-month-old granddaughter in a public bathroom. The order for protective custody, I call it an OPC for short, described her as being in a catatonic and unresponsive condition. I was called by CPS. I went and picked up the baby at literally the parking lot of a hospital. I brought her home. I signed the kinship papers. Now, I'm sorry, Heidi, you may know this, our other viewers may know this, but at the least, In the state of Pennsylvania, when a child is taken into CPS custody, the first thing that happens within the first 24 hours, definitely before the expiration of 48 hours, and definitely never beyond 72 hours, a hearing is held. This is called a shelter hearing. For those of you who are in Pennsylvania, you can look up the Domestic Relations Chapter 42, 42.6330. Which gives the directions for what must happen if a child is taken into shelter. So it's called a shelter hearing. At that hearing, the placement of the child is decided. In this case, the child was placed with me. I'm MGM. And also, this is a boilerplate order. It also determines whether there are going to be family visits with the parents, and if so, what periodicity. And it also determines whether this is a case of abuse or neglect. They're treated somewhat differently. In our case, the only thing that has happened in keeping with the law is that hearing, because it is that hearing where the check is written, and that opens the fountain of the money. And that's it. The next thing that you should look forward to receiving, if you are a resource parent or a kinship parent, which means that you're related to the child, would be your kinship award letter. Now, the shelter order does not name you. It identifies you. So in my case, the shelter order describes me as MGM, maternal grandmother. It doesn't name me because I wasn't at the hearing. What is next issued to me, or should be issued to me, is a kinship award letter. This has city letterhead, and this names me, and it gives me the authority to resource the child for their medical and their education. And the third, so that you can present this to schools, clinics, hospitals, the dentist office, the soccer club, anything that requires enrollment for the child. This gives you named authority. The third thing that you should receive is a safety plan. Now, these plans are, to my observation, never really filled in properly. And they're not really safety plans. It's just a document that says safety plan, but this shows how lax the agency is. And from what I understand, based on the collective wisdom after being here with our other members of the movement, it is the safety plan that establishes jurisdiction for CPS. So not to burden you with repetitions, number one, you can look forward to your shelter order. Number two, your kinship award letter. And number three, your safety plan. Those are your three tools if you become a family caregiver while there is an open dependency matter. In my case, the social worker, who was a holdover social worker from another case with another child, informed me, okay, the baby was placed with me August 22nd, 2022. By August 24th, I was sitting here waiting for the agency to deliver those three tools to me. I know how this goes. I'm also a certified foster parent. I've also fostered 11 other children, not formally through DHS, but informally. The social worker told me, and I quote, "I'm not giving you those kinship papers, you filthy, dirty Jew, because I'm taking that baby away from you. I'm taking that baby away from you." So from the beginning, we have what I would consider a felony, because the safety plan, the kinship award letter, and the shelter hearing, the shelter order are mine. Those are my tools. Essentially, they're my mail. Nobody has the right to withhold those from me. They're supposed to be hand delivered to me, and the worker is supposed to make another home inspection, and that's it. Without those tools, how do I enroll the baby in the hospital? How do I get the baby the services? And so therefore, my ability to get the baby to the hospital was frustrated. until the social worker decided that she was going to direct me to a hospital way deep in Philadelphia, which is way, way far away from where I live. Ultimately, she did snatch the baby from my arms October the 7th, 2022, when I had the baby at the Children's Hospital in the middle of her medical treatment. The social worker came, demanded to see her food, and alleged that I wasn't feeding her properly, even though the food that she had, which was solid food, it was baby food, applesauce, that I mixed with the formula because she loved it. She wasn't supposed to have that, according to the social worker, but the doctor had already said that she could have solid foods. So from October 7th, 2022, I haven't seen my granddaughter. From October 7th to 2022, no responsible person in the family has seen my granddaughter. My granddaughter has been denied all of her constitutional rights. She's been denied her rights to family based on the Adoptions and Safe Families Act. That's a federal act. She's been denied her rights according to Pennsylvania 231, 1900, and the rest of the sequence, which mandates that the baby should either be placed with her siblings or she should have regular sibling visits to keep the family bond. There are other provisions of law whereby she should be placed with a kin. It's called kinship placement. So I literally do not know if my granddaughter is alive or dead even now. I've been coming to court consistently. Unlike a lot of other parents, I had the funds to pay for lawyers, and I've spent out about $50,000. And so far didn't have a lawyer who was even able to come in and argue to the court that I am custodial and that I should have the granddaughter, or even argue for the family visits. So here we are. We do have another dependency hearing coming up this coming Monday. I do have a custody petition pending, and I also have my motion to intervene pending. So that's my personal situation, and anything that I can do to help you to navigate the laws that are there for you. One more thing, if you wouldn't mind, Darren, just bearing with me. I like to push this, and I feel like with each and every one of our shows, I need to put a plug in for Pennsylvania, Chapter 23. It's 23 53 24. Chapter 23 53 24. And this outlines who has standing for custody during an open dependency matter. So you as grandma, an uncle, a brother, even a close friend of the family automatically have standing for custody during an open dependency matter. Briefly put, if a child is taken, they're put into DHS custody. That means that any of us should be able to go to the court, and you don't even really have to go to the court. You're just really technically supposed to be able to contact the social worker. They should be looking for you and say, hey there, I want to stand as a foster resource for this parent. You don't need a court order because it's already ordered by the law. It's already an order. Unfortunately, I've had too many lawyers tell me that they've never seen grandparents or step parents or godparents be awarded children based on this ruling. Why is that? That's really detestable. I was fortunate, however, because in my county of residence, I did go to court and I was granted custody under Pennsylvania 23 53 24. And guess what? DHS still denied that, and they're still holding the baby hostage.
It's ridiculous what they've done to you. It's ridiculous what they've done to everybody. Heidi says this too, Dr. Fowler. CPS worked with me from 2 days old until he was 17 months old. I've been hitting brick walls for appeal forms, caseworker correspondence, etc. Heidi, we have the lady for you. Dr. Fowler just met her last night. It's a lady by the name of Jess. Actually, Jess just called me. She had some really good news from Congress. I tried to get her on the phone, but she denied her right to be on the show. But that's fine. But we've got what you need. So make sure, Heidi, that you get in touch with us at the info@abolishcps.com, or you can also get a hold of us at 571-494-8133. Hey, Dr. Fowler, I did an interview the other day that we're editing and putting together. It's a special one, but it was with Malibu Dallas. Do you want to see a little bit of it?
Sure. And then, yes,
Reasons,
absolutely.
as everybody knows, I deal with a lot of CPS cases. I deal with educating parents and families on their rights when it comes with civil issues and federal issues. What a lot of people don't understand is that the ADA, the American Disability Act, can actually still be used on CPS cases. And what I've done, along with a couple of other people, I've collaborated with another gentleman on TikTok. He goes by the name of Certified ADA Advocate, an amazing person, absolutely amazing person. We've collaborated together, and we put together a notice that people can actually utilize and hand straight to the CPS workers when they come to your house. And what it does is it puts them on notice, telling them that you, as the parent and the guardian and the legal authority over your children, are going to be invoking your ADA rights on the case immediately, and letting them know that you do have ADA rights. You are fully aware that you have ADA rights and you have civil rights, and you will be protecting those, and you will be standing on those with authority.
And this holds legal. This holds to be legal. This is here you go. This is real. You stop right here. This isn't just some jargon, and this will be law binding. Everything's legit. 100%. Stop bothering you. What is the contents of the letter? What is it? The basis? What is the basis? What is the meat and potatoes of the law verbiage that you guys have used in that letter?
Well, again, I'm not a lawyer. ADA advocate. He's not a lawyer. We can't represent people. We can't technically give legal advice, right? So that's not our intention here. Our intention is to educate the parents. The verbiage of what we are putting into this case or into this notice, it's just knowledge that you can utilize and you can reference. It has ADA rights in there. You know what? Let me do something. Let me see if I can pull it up. And I'm going to see if I can just show you guys something here. I'm on my computer here real quick.
Right on.
But what it does essentially, it puts CPS on notice right from the very beginning, right? So if they are threatening you, if they are trying to coerce you, or tell you that you have to do something, or you can't do something without the proper legal authority to do so, everybody has rights under the ADA. You don't necessarily have to be collecting federal funding or disability funding to utilize the ADA, right? A lot of people have disabilities in ways that we don't quite understand. There could be communication disabilities. And, and I tell a lot of my clients, I say, listen, here's what I'm going to educate you on. You and I, Darren, you and I are speaking English, right? Mm-hmm. When you walk into a courtroom, you might be speaking English, but you're speaking another language. You're speaking legalese. The judge, the lawyers, the prosecutors, they're all speaking a language that you might not even comprehend. So you're automatically at a disadvantage. You already suffer disability.
So that's something that we get to look forward to. That the audio, I don't believe, went through, did it? I don't know if people heard that. I heard it, but there's an interview coming up with Malibu Dallas and myself that was pretty outstanding, talking about all kinds of things, the notices and so on, that will be given to CPS, which one of these things, if you would have had this letter back when you were given custody of your child or your grandbaby, immediately you could have had a letter that could have been handed to them when they came to the door that said, hey, stop messing with me. And that's what he was talking about, and that's what he was saying, that they are coming together, and they've put together, and it's available on his site on Malibu Dallas at Stand Stores, I believe, or you can check him out on TikTok. But don't you think a notice, Dr. Fowler, if you would have had a notice and you knew that you could tell CPS to get the hell away from you when you got your granddaughter, that it would have been a huge, huge help?
What? You got to be kidding me. If I had known a kernel of what I know now, things would be very different. I had no idea that I could still refuse to let this woman kidnap my granddaughter. By the way, she made several attempts. This social worker made several attempts to kidnap baby Carly. One evening, my brother and I were just sitting in the home. We had some dispute about the family visits. She was insisting that we still had to attend these family visits, even though they hadn't been scheduled. Just a lot of controversy around that. And one day she just sent one of her workers to my home and just told her, we'll just take the baby. Without any provocation, without any probable cause. We refused, and I called the police, and the police made the social worker leave for lack of jurisdiction. After that, she reached across Philadelphia jurisdiction to my county, and she even went to the courts to try to have my legal custody taken down.
Wow.
That didn't work. And then finally she snatched the baby from my arms while we were at the hospital. If I only had known that day that I could have called the police again and just had the police stop her for lack of jurisdiction. But what happened was I was so terrified because this woman kept threatening me. She was harassing me. She was stalking me. And the dirty Jew, the Jew food. And it was just, I really was having heart palpitations, and I knew that something disastrous was going to happen. So that day at the hospital, all I could think of was, first of all, to take a picture of the baby's food to prove that it was baby's food. And then I, with the baby, and then I poured the food into the trash. And I kept the containers because I was afraid that they would take her food after they snatched her and put something in it and do something to it. I know that sounds fantastic. What's the word? Sorry, it's not coming to mind right now. I'm sorry. It sounds fantastic, but these things like this are done. Anyone who can execute a medical kidnapping is capable of doing anything, because a medical kidnapping is injurious. Imagine any one of us taking the child to the hospital, but snatching the child away before the child can be examined. And, we would be facing criminal charges. So, Darren, yes, if I had known that there was something that I could post, if I had known that I could insist that, hey, you don't have a warrant, but you don't want to, in my case, I wouldn't even want to tell her you don't have a warrant, because that would people are mind with, well, I'm just going to go get a warrant. So I was deathly afraid that her next move, meaning the social worker, would be to get a warrant, because she wanted to see me in jail. Actually, she wanted my life. She wanted the little filthy, dirty Jew's life, and she wanted the life of my granddaughter. So I was terrified that she would get a warrant, and I would be sitting here again, and I'd see the sheriff at my door and lose my freedom, which would disable me from being able to care for anybody. And there's a Buddhist expression, I'm paraphrasing it, probably not very aptly, but it goes something like, our worst fears are things that haven't even, we're afraid of things that haven't even happened yet.
Well,
and that was definitely my case.
Well, check this out. So Malibu Dallas at stand.stores/Truth Hurts. This is what this guy's doing. This is where that free ADA notice is. You can download it right here for that. He's got trifolds of things that you can do that talks about what goes on. You can also contact this guy with phone consultations, video consultations. He's got all kinds of things on here, information that you need to know to educate yourselves. People, education is the key to all of this. So make sure that you check out stand.store/Truth Hurts with a Z. So it's TRUTHHURTZ. And get the information. Tell them that Dr. Fowler and I sent you there, Men in Trenches. And just to have the free CPS ADA notice alone is worth its weight in gold. I know that Dr. Fowler and I had come up with one prior to this, but this one here is pretty solid. This guy built, and on his, just, it's invaluable. The information that he's going to give you for little to no money. I mean, it beats the hell out of thousands and thousands of dollars in a lawyer that gets results when this guy cares about what's going on and what you can do. So please, guys, check him out for your own safety. Pass the word about that, and pass the word about us and the Men in Trenches show. It's Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 7 to 7-ish to 8-ish something. Well, we've got the last 4 minutes here, which is always as normal, given to Dr. Fowler to end the show for us. Dr. Fowler, your last words.
Thank you. My last words are, I would love to have any of the legal experts out there who are supporting us to join us the next time. And please let me know one thing definitively. So if anyone's a lawyer, if anyone's an attorney, if anyone's a specialist in the things that can be published, because what I want to do, Darren, is I want to be able to expose the name, the identity, phone number, and the address of the social worker, her accomplice, her agency. At the very least, for right now, if we are sequestered and we cannot take an action against the kidnapper, and we cannot file charges against a kidnapper, at the very least, we can put their names out there. And each week, I think we should have a wall of shame where, you know how people are doxxed, innocent people are doxxed? Hey, let's expose them and recruit other families, just post something and say, hey, have you too had your children stolen by this person? And I bet you if we have a system like that, we'll be able to get just a little bit of justice, restorative justice for ourselves and our families. That's my closing thought.
I agree 1,000%. And we'll get on that. We're going to get doing that. I had something that I was going to say and I completely dropped it after you said that, because I was like, yes, that's perfect. So maybe I'll remember for Friday, but I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back Friday night at 7. We try to shoot for 7:20. And like Dr. Fowler said, anybody out there that's got information that needs to get a hold of us, do that at info@abolishcps.com. And again, like I said, I'm going to try to get this website up this week so we can get going and make this movement go. For all you dads out there, keep the fight going. And for all you moms out there, you guys do the same. Until we all see you guys on Friday, we're out of here. Dr. Fowler, I'll talk to you soon.
God bless. God bless.